I called it. Arkansas State pulls off the upset against Troy, although I didn't see that coming. Sets up a showdown with Southern Miss this weekend in Jonesboro. It's Locked On Sunbelt.
You are Locked On Sunbelt, your daily podcast on the Sunbelt Conference, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Welcome back to another edition of Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. I'm your host, Dave Schultz. Today's episode brought to you by Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. All right, please hit the like button and subscribe. Also, those comments do help the channel to keep growing, and we are growing. Could we get 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year? That would be fantastic. We got 2 months to go, and I got a feeling December is going to be big because we may have the coaching carousel hit the Sun Belt. Okay, we'll get to Arkansas State and Troy and a little Southern Miss thrown in there as well. Cajuns find their offense and then use the defense to hang on. And then when you know it, hoops, tipping off. Sun Belt at the MAC. It's the Sun Belt MAC Challenge, and it's the MAC to host these schools this time around to begin the season, and that is beginning tonight. So we will talk a little bit about these matchups. I certainly have not done a whole lot of work on the basketball, but we will get into that. I do have today and tomorrow off, so we could look a little bit into the basketball. All right, so Arkansas State upsets Troy. Now, I did pick them to cover because I didn't like the 7.5, but I didn't think they would go in there and just destroy Troy. I mean, they destroyed them. That game was not particularly close. I'm not sure if the score indicates how not close that game was. Troy was held under 200 yards of offense. 200 yards of offense. And when you're talking about Troy, they had put up a bunch of offense before, right? This is not a team that struggles offensively. They put up 35 against the Cajuns, 37 against Monroe. They put up 48 points against Texas State, South Alabama, 31, even against Monroe. When Monroe gave them a bunch of turnovers, they still had over 300 yards of offense. Monroe actually outgained them, but they still had 300 yards of offense. They had less than 200. I just didn't see that from Arkansas State. And you go back and you look at the statistics defensively for Arkansas State. Okay. So they have some interesting stats overall. If you go to scoring overall this year, they are 5th in the conference, 26.4 points a game. Totals, though, that's yardage, they are 9th, giving up 405 yards per game. However, if you do conference stats only, they're 2nd in the conference, giving up just 21 points a game. And they're 2nd defensively, giving up 340 yards a game. Obviously, last game is going to help, but that's impressive. I did not realize Arkansas State's defense was that good. And they were really good against what has been a very good Troy offense. And Troy could just get nothing going. Arkansas State was in the backfield for Troy all game long. Let's see, do we have sacks? Says how many yardage they lost. I was kind of looking for the total sacks. Let me see. 9 sacks. Troy had 0. 9 sacks for Arkansas State. All right. JAYLEN RAYNOR, very efficient, 21 to 29, 247 yards, 2 touchdowns in the air. Fortenberry caught a touchdown. Summers caught a touchdown. Fortenberry had 40 yards. Summers had 70. This is kind of spread out. Not getting it to like 9 different receivers, but Fortenberry had 5. Summers had 4. Corey Rucker had 4. Cobb had 4. Clay had 3, and Spencer had 1. I will say Arkansas State didn't run the ball particularly well. They only rushed it for 50 yards. And I would say Troy's defense, despite the offense not doing anything, Troy's defense didn't give up much either in terms of, they can only give up 297 yards. You give up 297 yards to Arkansas State, you think you're going to win it. Arkansas State did turn the ball over a couple of times, and so did Troy. And the big one comes after Troy scores a touchdown, making it 20-10. Arkansas State is actually driving. They fumble. Troy recovers, but with about 8.5 minutes left, they recover. But Kilgrease, maybe trying to hit a home run too soon, throws an interception, and that was your ball game. Tucker did not have a particularly good game, 19 out of 34, 166 yards, and the interception. And Troy did not run for very much either, 21 yards on the day. So Arkansas State has the one loss in the division. Troy has one loss in the division. Southern Miss does not have any losses in the division. Arkansas State hosting Southern Miss this weekend. And, you know, had someone, I think part of the school, I got to see if he's part of the athletic department, but part of the school said to me that Arkansas State controls their own destiny, because if you beat Troy and you beat Southern Miss, you own the tiebreakers. Well, I said there is a lot of football to be played at this point in time, and that was even before. I thought that was before Arkansas State this week, like the week before. Maybe it was right after that, but nonetheless, he's not wrong. And now you got Southern Miss coming to Jonesboro for an 11 a.m. game. Sometimes I think that's made too much of a big deal. Like LSU plays like one 11 a.m. game every year. It would be nice if this was kind of in the middle of the day or at night, right? This is an 11 a.m. football game, Central Time. That's a little bit rough, okay? It's a little bit rough for the players. It's rough for the fans. It's just, you just can't get going, right? You want to sleep in a little bit on a Saturday. You know, I mean, is like the pregame show going to start at like 8 a.m. on radio? It's a little bit early. I will say I was a little bit surprised at the line. And in this case, I don't want to take it. This is not about Southern Miss per se, because I don't want to take that much away from Southern Miss, because they deserve what they're getting. Southern Miss opens up as a 5-point road favorite. I'd like to see how that changes, because Arkansas State's played pretty well. A couple of fortunate wins, that's true. But they have a couple of nice wins, I think. Let's see here. First of all, haven't they won like 4 in a row? All right. They took care of Georgia Southern. Nothing lucky about that. They were down 21-10, but made it 21-17 at half and did a number on them in the second half. All right. They did escape South Alabama. That was an escape. Neither team played particularly well in that, but South Alabama kind of handed them the game. I would say Texas State kind of handed them the game too. But in that game, at least in that ball game, Arkansas State had to go down and score a touchdown to win it and kick the extra point, something that Texas State did not do. So they were trailing. It wasn't like my Patriots on Sunday where Atlanta misses an extra point to tie the ball game up. Arkansas State had to go down and get the touchdown and kick the extra point to take the lead. So they took that one away. So it is interesting. They've won 4 in a row. And that was on national TV against Troy. Solid enough offense, not spectacular, but spectacular defense. And I'm gonna be shocked if Southern Miss is more than a 3-point favorite when it comes to the line, because I could see them being a 5 or 6 point favorite at home for sure. But being on the road is tough, although Arkansas State just disproved that. I think this is going to be a whale of a football game. Probably come down to turnovers. And so we'll see. Hopefully it's good weather, and that does not make an issue of the football, of the turnovers. But it should be a whale of a football. I mean, you got JAYLEN RAYNOR and Braylon Braxton. This is going to be a whale of a football game. All right. And really looking forward to it. Of course, I'm working, but maybe we'll sneak in a couple of peeks. Anyways, congratulations to Arkansas State. Troy still got plenty to play for. I think they're ahead of schedule anyways. Also, they didn't give up. I'm gonna do hashtag always a bright side, right? They were down 20-3 and very easily could have gotten blown out. And I mean, they did get blown out, but it could have been ugly. It could have been ugly, and they did not. So keep grinding it out, and you don't throw an interception, maybe you get a score. We'll see. But it didn't turn out that way. All right, let's take a time out. This episode is probably going to be a little bit longer. We're going to do the Cajuns and South Alabama and a little ODU and ULM. And then we'll have the last segment with Sun Belt hoops. But first, let me tell you about Game Time. College football is back, and I couldn't be more excited. The tailgates, the rivalries, the energy in the stands, there's just nothing like it. But let's be real. Actually, getting tickets can feel more like a battle than the game itself. Endless queues, hidden fees, prices jumping at checkout. That's why I use Game Time, the app that gives the advantage back to the fans. It's the easiest way to score last-minute tickets at the best prices with no surprise fees. What you see is what you pay. This was Sunday night. I checked right before I started recording. You could get a ticket for $19 at the Arkansas State Southern Miss game. I'm going to guess that's going to go up. There are some tickets that are a little bit more expensive, but I would hop on those tickets. If you're thinking about doing that, go to Game Time and get those tickets now. Take the guesswork out of buying college football tickets with Game Time. Download the Game Time app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONCollege for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, that's promo code LOCKEDONCOLLEGE, Locked On College, for $20 off. Swipe, tap, ticket, go. Download Game Time today. All right, Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. All right, talk about didn't see one coming. Where did that come from? From the Louisiana Ragin Cajuns. Lunch Winfield, 10 of 10 in the first half. Threw all of 5 passes in the second half, and he was 4 out of 5. I mean, that tells you all you may need to know about the South Alabama defense. Yeesh. Cajuns win this ball game 31-22. Do have to make a couple of defensive stands in the game. I didn't see the last one as it was happening. I did see one earlier in the game where they stopped South Alabama on a 3rd and 1. The linebacker came blitzing in and got the South Alabama running back. And then South Alabama went for it on 4th and 4, and 2 Cajuns linebackers came in and were able to trip up Bishop Davenport before he got to the corner. If he got to the corner, it would have been trouble, but he didn't get to the corner. And then they put a goal line stand in at the end and had to do it twice because of offsides. And they did. And again, say the same thing for South Alabama. South Alabama were getting their doors blown off them. It was 31-7. And they had a chance to make this a 1-score ball game. I do want to ask you guys about this strategy because I always wonder about this. Now, admittedly, they were down. They're down 17. That's 3 scores. Can't do anything about that. All right. They ended up going. They got a touchdown to make it 31-22, and went for 2 and got it. All right. So they are down 9 points. Still need 2 scores, but instead of the 3rd score tying the ball game, you now can win it. Okay. So it's 31-22, and South Alabama gets the ball. I'll make sure I get this one right. With 9:43 left to go on their own 23. So more than 9.5 minutes left to go in the ball game, you need 2 scores. You don't have to be in a rush, but you just can't take your time. The problem is here, they had a spectacular drive. They went 16 plays rather. Let's see what it is. It was 16 plays, 76 yards, and 7 minutes and 2 seconds. Now they stopped the Cajuns, who got the ball back, and they punted it away, and then Bishop Davenport threw an interception because now we need 2 scores and need them fast, so you're forcing it. That was the end of the ball game. But here's where I think some of these guys don't use the clock to their favor. This is just me. There was time left. But what about, and none of these are chippies. He's not kicking a 25-yard field goal. I admit that. But what about kicking a field goal a little bit sooner? They went for a touchdown. They weren't even thinking about kicking a field goal. All right. Because, okay, so they got down. It only took them 3 minutes to get down to the Cajuns' 32-yard line. You're not kicking a field goal there. It's 1st and 10 on the Cajuns' 32. All right. How about 1st and 10 on the Cajuns' 17? 5:36 to go. All right. Want to kick a field goal there? We need this ball back. You got to get a stop. All right. And then you still need a touchdown. I understand it. I get it. We're not talking about, the idea is if they get a touchdown, then they only need a field goal later on. They don't need to go as far. I understand that. But it seems to me that sometimes these guys don't like taking the points when they have them. Now, I don't know if you're going to go for a touchdown or a field goal on 1st and 10. But I mean, even they were 1st and goal on the 6 at 4:19 left to go in the game. They spent a minute and a half more. They were stopped with 2:47 to go. So it's a minute 13 and a minute 19, right? So 2.5 minutes almost. They didn't get the touchdown. Could have kicked a field goal. That's the only thing I would say. Is that somewhere along the way, because the drive was taking so long, do you kick a field goal? If you kick it from the 17, it's a 34-yard field goal. I got 5 minutes left to go. I'm going to kick it away, and I get a stop. That's the only thing. I know now I definitely need a touchdown, but if I get a stop, even if they get 2 first downs, I still should have my timeouts and the 2-minute stoppage of play. That's the only thing. That's my only thought in that ball game, is that somewhere along the way I would have kicked a field goal to give myself a chance of getting the ball back. That's the only thing. Even if I put it in with 2:45, I guess I put it in with 2:45. Of course, the Cajuns their backs up aren't against the wall, back up against the goal line. I don't know if you're doing an onside kick there or not. Probably not. That's my only thought. All right. Quickly, ODU and ULM. ODU, mostly all ODU, 31-6. This ball game was 24-0 at half. And is it me, or does ODU get bored? Is that a thing? Because they kind of played this way against App, right? They were sloppy against Marshall, sloppy against JMU. They missed field goals. I don't necessarily think I don't like the whole we haven't played a full 60 minutes. This is not golf. It's not swimming. Someone's trying to stop you and also believes they should be like a full 60-minute ball game. So I don't buy that. You always hear that. Well, if we hear the coach say, if we do what we should be doing, we should be all set. Well, then the other guy's saying the same thing. So I never understood that, right? And don't understand it personally. However, in this case, couldn't this game been like 45-6 or something like that? It feels like, I don't know if ODU takes the foot off the gas or what happens, but it just feels like they don't finish, I guess is the proper term. To me, they don't finish. All right. It's not as if in the App State case, they almost did come back, or they did score 2 touchdowns. In the ULM case, that really wasn't a threat, but I'd like to see them finish stronger. Yeah. I don't have to pile on. That's not what I'm talking about. I don't need the 50 points that or the 60 points that Cignetti is putting up over at Indiana. All right, that's not the point. But the point is finish strong. And you could have scored, 17 points in the second half and then hand it over to the bench. That's what I'm talking about, Just finish. And it doesn't feel like ODU finishes right now. 31-6 is an impressive win. The game was 24-0 at half. It feels like they mailed in the second half is what it feels like. All right. We just hit November, and basketball season is here. I'm going to enjoy watching the ball games as long as the ESPN Plus, app works. I don't have the extended version right now, at least. We'll see how long that lasts. All right. Let's take a time out. We'll come back and talk to you about Sun Belt basketball and the MAC Challenge right after I tell you about FanDuel. The NBA is back, and there's no better place to get in on the action than FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Even if you missed the start of the game or want to ride the hot hand, FanDuel has live bets on everything from who will score to the next fourth quarter comebacks. Plus, you can even combine your live bets into a same-game parlay for a shot at a bigger payout. It keeps every game exciting, especially when your team's making that last push. Or do you bet against the Pelicans to lose every game? Right now, FanDuel is giving new customers $300 in bonus bets when your first $5 bet wins. So head to FanDuel.com to sign up and play your game with FanDuel, the official sports betting partner of the NBA. Pelicans 0-5. Not going to get a win anytime soon. Dave Schultz, Locked On Sunbelt, your teams every day. So with two big matchups on Saturday, JMU, Marshall, and Southern Miss traveling to Arkansas State to take on the Red Wolves. Also, a little sneaky Cajuns hosting Texas State. The Cajuns want to finish off the Bobcats. Bobcats have never beaten the Cajuns. And as disappointing as this season is for the Bobcats, they'd love to take the Cajuns out one time. And the Cajuns would love to send Texas State pack into the Pac-12 2.0. On a side note, little sneaky ball game. Meanwhile, college basketball is here. And we got a few games happening tonight. Not everyone is playing that. I don't think Georgia Southern is playing in this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13. Georgia Southern's playing on Tuesday. They're playing East Carolina. All right. And the games that I was told to look out for by my guy, Rocco Miller, from the Field of 68 and the Bracketeer. All right, let's see what he says here. He said Arkansas State at Ohio should be a good one. Remember, Arkansas State's breaking in a new coach. JMU at Akron. JMU was picked to win the Sun Belt. And Troy at Kent State. Troy won the Sun Belt Conference tournament and went to the NCAAs last year, which was pretty cool for Troy. Also say Texas State at Bowling Green could be sneaky good. I guess we could go over all of them. Also for the MAC, well, let's go to the Sun Belt here for a second. James Madison was picked to win the basketball. This is done by the coaches. And again, talk about a grain of salt. We got a bunch of new coaches. Our coaches have only been here for a couple of years. Again, they're just figuring out their team. You think Ryan Pinot knows anything about the rest of the league? He doesn't even know his team yet at Arkansas State. So, meanwhile, he knows what everybody else has. Okay. Anyway, James Madison picked 1. Arkansas State picked 2nd. South Alabama picked 3rd. Troy was picked 4th. Seems like we're looking at interesting. South Alabama got the most first place votes, but they finished 3rd. All right. James Madison won, Arkansas State 2, South Alabama 3, Troy 4. Remember, South Alabama is the defending regular season champ. Old Dominion got a couple of first place votes. They're 5th. Marshall is 6th. App State 7th. Texas State 8th. Cajuns and Quantas White, new coach, they got a first place vote. maybe all these guys are voting for themselves. They're 9th, Georgia Southern 10th, Georgia State 11th, Southern Miss 12th, Coastal Carolina 13th, and ULM is 19th. Quickly in the MAC, Akron got 11 out of those 13 votes. So they seem to be a heavy favorite. Miami of Ohio is 2nd, Kent State 3rd, Ohio 4th, UMass is 5th, Toledo 6th, Bowling Green 7th, Ball State 8th, Eastern Michigan 9th, Western Michigan 10th, Buffalo is 11th, Central Michigan 12th, and Northern Illinois is 13th. Okay, that's why Sunbelt's got 14, Mac's got 13, and Georgia Southern is out at least this round. And so we're looking forward to it. JMU, we'll see. Went to the tournament a couple of years ago, new coach, kind of an up and down season, right? Last year, starting out slow, played well in the middle. It was just a kind of a roller coaster ride for JMU. Let's see here. What else we got? We'll see how South Alabama can do. They got a lot of guys back. Toledo's actually favored by a couple at home. All right. Eastern Michigan is favored by 3.5 over Georgia State. I don't have a line for Buffalo and Southern Miss. We got John Cox doing it for Southern Miss, right? And Buffalo is my guy, Josh Wetzel. He's a good friend of mine. Miami of Ohio hosting Old Dominion. Miami of Ohio, 6.5-point favorites. Western Michigan, 2.5-point favorite over Coastal Carolina. Ohio is 3.5-point favorite over Arkansas State. UMass, 4.5 over Marshall. App State is favored over Central Michigan, 2.5. They're the only ones, I think. Bowling Green, 4.5 at home against Texas State. Kent State, 3.5-point favorites over Troy. And Ball State, just a 1.5-point favorite over the Cajuns. Akron is 7.5-point favorite over James Madison. And Northern Illinois is 4.5-point favorites over Monroe. So App State is the only Sun Belt squad that is favored. We will watch as much as I can between Monday and Tuesday. I can only watch so many games at one time on Monday, as they seem to all be going on at the same time. To be honest with you, I didn't check that out. You do. We got a 6:30 Eastern time, mostly 7 p.m. Eastern time. You do have Northern Illinois and Monroe at 8 p.m. Eastern time. So a couple. And again, I'm off Monday and Tuesday, so I can watch the replays a little bit anyways on a Tuesday. So looking forward to seeing hoops tip it off. A little bit of crossover season with the football and the basketball. Not as crazy as the spring crossover season where you're still finishing up basketball and you got baseball and softball landing in the same spot. All right. So we shall see how that goes. We're supposed to have a couple of big guests. We will see. All right. If technical things work out, timing all works out, we should have a couple of interviews from the coaches of the Sun Belt football teams and a couple of teams that are very hot. So we're hoping that all works out. They will be part of the episodes on later this week. We'll see how we're going to do that with football and how much basketball we're going to do and so on and so forth. Do want to thank you. I appreciate all the support, even the back and forth from the Southern Miss fans. Funny, I put something up about watching the TVs. What did I get? Sling, and one of the guys who's always harassing me, not really harassing me, but poking fun at me from the Southern Miss angle, giving me advice. So we're all in this together when it's the Sun Belt. And you do see, it's interesting. You do see some non-Southern Miss fans of the other schools pumping up JMU because they want a Sun Belt team in the playoff. All right. Going to be a little bit tougher for Southern Miss to do that. But we'll see. All right. Also, hopefully we're going to be able to go. If it's in Jonesboro, is going to be a little bit far, admittedly. All right. To get to a Sun Belt championship game. But if Hattiesburg, Troy seems to be eliminated, although you never know. And Harrisonburg seems to be a doable. All right. Huntington would have been convenient too, but that doesn't seem likely either. All right. Thanks very much for tuning in again. I wanted to thank you for the support because we just had another spectacular month. We really did. It was like the second best month ever for the audio. I think it was the second best month ever for the videos. So I really do appreciate it. And let's see, it is a long shot, admittedly, but it'd be nice to be able to get to 3,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's about 240. So that's a lot. That's 120 a month. That's like 4 subscribers a day. My understanding is that there would be no math. So when you put it like that, it's doable, but it'd be nice to get there. So pushing for 3,000 subscribers. So if you know people, let them know we do cover the Sun Belt. And of course, baseball, softball, not that far away. All right. And again, December is going to be crazy with potential job openings. I'm not sure anyone's going to get fired. Usually happens. So we shall see how this season winds up, but also wouldn't be surprised if some coaches are plucked, if that happens to be the case. We shall see. All right. Thank you for tuning in. Really appreciate it. Hit the subscribe button, hit the like button, all that good stuff, and leave your comments. I will get back to you. All right. You've been watching and listening to the Lockdown Sunbelt, your teams every day. Have a great Monday, everybody. We'll be back with you for another episode on Tuesday.